Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nithe Namine नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्से नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। We'll continue from where we left. 50th verse. The revision. Krishna has summarized karma and then 5 factors, and later on the performer, the work, and knowledge in 3 modes, determination in 3 modes, intelligence in 3 modes, happiness in 3 modes. And then he explained from 41 to 49. We saw 4 varnas: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and their qualities, and how the perfection of they will achieve is when they offer the fruits of their varna for the pleasure of Hari. This much we have seen till now. So now the third section, Jnana. How one can perfect one's practice of Jnana. 13 to 18 chapter, 17 chapter. That summary Krishna is going to give now from 50, basically from 49 to 56. We'll see that. So I think we had covered this. We'll just read the translation for this and then we'll move on. One who is self-controlled and unattached and who disregards all material enjoyments can obtain, by practice of renunciation, the highest perfect stage of freedom from reaction. Self-controlled, not attached to material enjoyment, and the practice of renunciation. So this practice of renunciation is referring to Naishkaramyam Siddhi, Sannyasena, basically Gnani platform. The highest perfect stage of freedom from reaction. Basically, everybody wants to become mukta. So already we read this. Prabhupada mainly highlights here that since the living entity thinks is a part and parcel of Krishna, he works for the pleasure of Lord. This is actually Krishna consciousness. This is what we had seen. And such person is really in a renounce order of life. So it doesn't have to take up renounce order. Whether it's Grahastha, Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, Sannyas, he is actually free if a devotee is a Jivan Mukta. But here this section is referring to Jnana. Siddhim prapto yata brahma tatapnoti nibodha me samashenaiva kaunteya nishtadnyanasya chaya para. Yes. Babu Ramru, can you read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Translation. O son of Kunti, learn from me now. Learn from me how one who has achieved this perfection can attain to the supreme perfectional stage, Brahman, the stage of the highest knowledge, by acting in the way I shall now summarize.
Yeah. The goal of doing reaction-free work is to come to the platform of Jnana. What is the Jnana platform? Everything belongs to Lord. And the purpose of coming to the Jnana platform is to engage in his service. So section from 18.1 to 18.78, it comprises of doing reaction-free work, and then from there to coming to Jnana platform, and from coming to Jnana platform to come to Bhakti platform. So this is a transition. So now what is going to happen from 49 to 656 is coming to Jnana platform. And by coming to Jnana platform, how one can transit to Bhakti platform, that is from 57 to 60 till and 78. Basically, the purpose of goal is a karma should lead to Jnana, Jnana should lead to Bhakti. That karma should be not that this is for me, that karma is for I am doing it on behalf of Lord. Then one starts doing it initially, like we are working, we give some portion of our money in Krishna service. When you do something, any of the activity should give the fruits of that thing for Lord. Then slowly that knowledge is awakened. And the purpose, perfection of knowledge is to understand that Krishna is the master, I am the servant. I am supposed to devote my whole life for him. That is pure devotional service, doing everything for him. Yes, to read the translation. So now what we are reading is a translation. It's a sandwich. Karma, Jnana, Bhakti. So it's from transiting from reaction-free work to knowledge. That is Krishna's telling here. Yes, Prabhu.
The Lord describes for Arjuna how one can achieve the highest perfectional state simply by being engaged in his occupational duty, performing that duty for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One attains the supreme stage of Brahman simply by renouncing the result of his work for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. That is the process of self realization. The actual perfection of knowledge is in attaining pure Krishna consciousness that is described in the following verses.
So what is being told here very clearly? Being told here is how one can achieve the highest perfection stage simply by being engaged in occupational duty. So karma. And how can one can come to the platform of Jnana? One attains the supreme stage of Brahman simply by renouncing the result of his work for satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. That is the process of self-realization. So the perfection of knowledge is in attaining pure Krishna consciousness. See, everything summarized here. Reaction-free work to the process of self-realization, that is Jnana, and the perfection of that is to become a devotee. Yes, let's see what Gurujan first to say. Yeah, you can read Baburam Bro, 50th verse.
O son of Kunti, learn from me how one.
Already you have read it. Don't repeat it.
Sorry,
Read na 50th verse translation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 51 to 53, Prabhu.
This summary purport.
Okay. These verses refer to a yogi on the path of Jnana Yoga who has purified his consciousness through a work and has thus already progressed upwards from the stage of karma to the stage of jnana. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura, in his comment to the text 49, explains, it being the case that all work is covered with fault, the person on the first level of some sannyasa rejects the faulty aspects of work, namely the mentality of being the doer and the expectation of profit. Thus, in due course of time, he perfects this sadhana. After having ascended to the level of yoga, he gives up work itself. This is the second stage of sannyasa as described in the verse beginning asakta buddhi sarvatra.
That is 49th verse.
Thus, we can understand that a devotee who has worshipped the Lord by his work will not attain Brahman realization in the
Not
same
Brahman, it's Brahman.
Brahman realization
Yeah.
in the same way as doer the Jnana yogi. A devotee, after being purified by detached work, attains freedom from the false ego and moves forward to realize and serve the Supreme Brahman. The process practiced by
Supreme?
a Supreme Brahman.
What?
Brahman.
Brahman. Yes, bro.
The
Continue.
process practiced by an advanced jnana yogi to elevate him further is next described.
Yes. So now you understood now what is being told here. These verses refer to yogi on the path of Jnana Yoga, who's purified his consciousness through renouncing the fruits of his work. And the perfection of that is he gives up the work, not because he's lazy, because he thinks, I don't have to do it. Lord will maintain me. Lord is maintaining African jungle. Lord is maintaining so many things. Why I have to work hard to maintain myself? He'll take care of me. That is dependence on the Lord. But from that stage of sannyas, how will he achieve? How will he come to Bhakti? That this section is of a Jnani yogi who's renouncing, who's taking sannyas, is giving up the work, not of false ego, but out by becoming freedom from the false ego. Yes, 51 to 53. Buddhya vishuddhaya yukto धृत्यात्मना नियम्य च शब्दादीन् विषयांस् त्यक्त्वा रागद्वेषो युद्धस्य च विविक्तसेवी लग्वासी यतवाक्कायमानसा ध्यानयोगापरो नित्यं वैराग्यं समुपाश्रिता अहङ्कारं बलं दर्पं कामं क्रोधं परिग्रहं विमुच्य निर्मम शांतो ब्रह्म भूयाय कल्पते. Yes, is next. Rasrajpur, please read.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Being purified by his intelligence and controlling the mind with determination, giving up the objects of sense gratification, being freed from attachment and hatred, one who lives in a secluded place, who eats little, who controls his body, mind and power of speech, who is always in trance and who is detached, free from false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, and acceptance of material things, free from hassle proprietorship and peaceful, such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self-realization. Hare Krishna.
Being spoken here is a Jnani yogi. Before that, he is giving up the fruits of his action. Then he comes to the platform where he becomes free of ego, purified by his intelligence, controlling the mind, determination, giving up sense gratification, objects of sense gratification, freed from attachment and hatred, lives in secluded place, eats little, controls his body, mind, power of speech. He's always in trance, but basically he's not in bodily platform. He's detached, free from false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, and acceptance of material thing. Basically, beyond bodily consumption. So till the time we're in bodily consumption, we have to work. But by that work, whatever fruits we get, we should renounce that fruits. We should offer that fruits Krishna. But by doing that, we come to the level we understand that we are not his body. Next step comes is then we don't have to act on the level of body. So that is being mentioned here. Such a person certainly elevated to the position of self-realization. Yes, Prabhu, please read. Purport.
Purport. When one is purified by intelligence, he keeps himself in the mode of goodness. Thus, one becomes the controller of the mind and is always in trance. He is not attached to the objects of sense gratification, and he is free from attachment and hatred in his activities. Such a detached person naturally prefers to live in a secluded place. He does not eat more than what he requires, and he controls the activities of his body and mind. He has no false ego because he does not accept the body as himself, nor has he a desire to make the body fat and strong by accepting so many material things. Because he has no bodily concept of life, he is not falsely proud. He is satisfied with everything that is offered to him by the grace of the Lord. And he is never angry in the absence of sense gratification, nor does he endeavor to acquire sense objects. Thus, when he is completely free from false ego, he becomes non-attached to all material things, and that is the stage of self-realization of Brahman. The stage is called the Brahma Bhuta stage. Srimad Bhagavatam 4.30.20. When one is free from the material conception of life, he becomes peaceful and cannot be agitated. This is described in Bhagavad Gita 2.70. Apuryamanam achala pratistam samudram apah pravishyanti yadvat tadvat kamayam parivishyanti sarve sa santim apnoti na kamakami. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. Surrender unto me. Hare Krishna.
You can read this, bro.
Okay. Srila Prabhupada mentions the result of yogi's adherence to these practices in his purport. Thus, when he is completely free from false ego, he becomes non-attached to all material things, and that is the stage of self-realization of Brahman. That stage is called Brahma Bhuta stage. Krishna next describes the Brahma Bhuta platform.
What is being discussed here is that Brahma Bhuta stage, when it's completely free from false ego, basically from body platform, gross body, subtle body. The gross body is anyway dead. The subtle body is detached. This is Jivan Mukta. He realizes, he understands I am Brahman. This is Brahma Bhuta stage. Then what happens next of that? Then such a person becomes qualified to practice bhakti. That is the next shloka. So if he says, I think Karuna Radhika Mata is asking, what is the difference between summary of the second chapter and summary in 18th chapter? Same. In second chapter, that what are the qualities of that Siddhar Muli? 2.70 is quoted here. And the same thing is being reflected here in 18.51 to 53. But now you can appreciate it because you are at the whole section. Karma, Jnana, Ashtanga. Karma, Bhakti, Ashtanga. That is Jnana. And therefore, it's a summary of the same thing. But now in a better way, we can appreciate it. Brahmabhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu madbhakti lab.
Prabhuji, we lost you.
Hmm?
We lost.
Okay. Lakshmi Mansamata, you can read this. 1 minute. I think it's breaking. I have to join from Milan. 5007 61241. Okay. 4749. Yes, Lakshmi Mataji, can you?
Okay, Parikshit. Translation. One who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the supreme Brahman and becomes fully and joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me.
Yes. So after coming to Brahma Bhuta stage, what a person's nature is, what he exhibits, he comes to perform bhakti. Yes, purport you can do.
To the impersonalist, achieving the Brahma Bhuta stage, becoming one with the Absolute, is the last word. But for the personalist or pure devotee, one has to go still further to become engaged in pure devotional service. This means that one who is engaged in pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord is already in a state of liberation called Brahma Bhuta, oneness with the Absolute. Without being one with the Supreme, the Absolute, one cannot render service unto him. In the absolute conception, there is no difference between the served and the servitor. Yet the distinction is there in a higher spiritual sense. In the material concept of life, when one works for sense gratification, there is misery. But in the absolute world, when one is engaged in pure devotional service, there is no misery. The devotee in Krishna consciousness has nothing for which to lament or desire. Since God is full, a living entity who is engaged in God's service in Krishna consciousness becomes also full in himself. He is just like a river cleansed of all dirty water. Because a pure devotee has no thought other than Krishna, he is naturally always joyful. He does not lament for any material loss or aspire for gain, because he is full in service of the Lord. He has no desire for material enjoyment, because he knows that every living entity is a fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and therefore eternally a servant. He does not see in the material world someone as higher and someone as lower. Higher and lower position are ephemeral, and a devotee has nothing to do with ephemeral appearance or disappearances. For him, stone and gold are of equal value. This is the Brahma Bhuta stage, and this stage is attained very easily by the pure devotee. In that stage of existence, the idea of becoming one with the Supreme Brahman and annihilating one's individuality becomes hellish. The idea of attaining the heavenly kingdom becomes a phantasmagoria, and the senses are like serpents whose poison teeth are broken. As there is no fear of serpent with broken teeth, there is no fear from the senses when they are automatically controlled. The world is miserable for the materially infected person, but for a devotee, the entire world is as good as Vaikuntha or the spiritual sky. The highest personality in this material universe is no more significant than an ant for a devotee. Such a stage can be achieved by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, who preached pure devotional service in this age. Surrender unto me. Hare Krishna.
So 51 to 53, that is Brahma Bhuta stage. What one person does when he comes to the Brahma Bhuta stage, he na shokati, na kankshati, equally disposed to everyone. And he comes to the point of accepting bhakti. That is the reason Prabhupada is writing here that for impersonalists, merging with the Lord, becoming one with Absolute, that is the final. But for Bhakta, it's beginning. He has to come to Bhakti, then Bhav Bhakti, then Prem Bhakti. So that is what Prabhupada is writing here. The whole thing is, impersonalists think that the senses are a problem. But personists know that the senses are like a snake which has poisonous teeth. If teeth is removed, that poisonous mentality of enjoying is removed, then it's not an issue. Then the biting of the snake has no much hazardous effect. Similarly, even if you utilize the senses in Krishna's service by eating prasad, say doing all the activities but for Krishna's pleasure with all the senses, that will not bind us, that will liberate us. So such a stage can be achieved by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. It's very, very important. in this age of Kali Yuga, how we can do it? What is being told here? It is only possible by the mercy of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, no other way. So this is what Prabhupada is writing here. Yes. Somebody else can read this. If the desire of Jnana Yogi.
Yeah, Prabhu. If the desire of Jnana Yogi was to become one with Brahman, he will end his spiritual feast at that point. If, however, he was practicing yoga to attain Krishna service, or if he had obtained the fortune of associating with an exalted Vaishnava and had his desire changed from becoming Brahman to serving the Supreme Brahman, he would then naturally take the devotional service and progress further. Srila Prabhupada writes, to the impersonalist, achieving the Brahma stage, becoming one with the Absolute, is the last word. But for the personalist, a pure devotee, one has to go still further to become engaged in the pure devotional service. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, when one superficial destinations have dissipated, one becomes Brahma Bhuta of the nature of Brahman or pure uncovered spirit because his contamination of the material modes is now finished. He becomes a satisfied soul, and then he has no longer laments as before for what he loses or hankers for what he has not obtained. That is because he no longer falsely identifies with his body and other material things. He, like a child, is equal to all beings, both the gentle and the weak. This is this is because he no longer judges by externals. And then when his jnana has become extinguished, like a fire whose fuel is used up, he attains the eternal devotional form, the form of hearing, chanting, and so on, which was already present within his jnana. Because this bhakti is a function of my internal energy, it is distinct from Maya's energy, and so is not dispelled even after both avidya and vidya are dispelled. Therefore, this bhakti is para, separate from and the better than jnana, and because it is separate from both niskama karma and jnana, it is exclusive, kevala. The idea of the use of the word attains, labate, is that although this bhakti was already partly active previously for the purpose of allowing the achievements of liberation through the process of jnana and vairagya, at that time it was not clearly perceivable. Just as the super soul residing in every living being's heart is also not clearly perceivable. Therefore, instead of saying he performs devotional service, Lord says he attains devotional service. It is just like a person keeping gold and gems within a mixture of beans. After the beans are removed, the gold and gems which were already present become separately available in their pure form, Kevala.
Yes, very amazing thing Chakravarti is mentioning here. Basically, initially, bhakti, nitya siddha Krishna prema, sadhya kabhi nahi, shravanadi suddha chitta karibi uday. This is what is mentioned by Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, has been told by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, because of our identification with the body, lording our mentality, we have to accept the Isha. Then we have to follow the mantra to of Ishamnishad. Kurvanyeva karmani, jiji vishetam sabha. That is basic karma yoga, or nishkama karma. So, but nishkama karma, when we are doing that activity, that is separate from bhakti. But bhakti, but you have to do that nishkama for whom? Not for nation, not desh prem, not mata pita prem, not for oneself. It is meant for Lord Vishnu. So that is bhakti there. But this nishkama factor for whom? Lord Vishnu. That nishkama is karma and Lord Vishnu is yoga. So it becomes nishkama karma yoga. Similarly, a person is able to give the fruits of action and he rises to the platform of jnana. So jnana is there, but jnana for whom? Like Prabhupada writes here, if he's fortunate enough, he comes in association of devotees, then he doesn't stop at Brahma Bhuta. He continues to serve the Supreme Brahman. So that jnana becomes yoga because when it is done for Vishnu. And the section from 57 to 68 speaks about only Kevala Bhakti. So do everything for Krishna's pleasure. Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, try to understand him and try to by coming to the coming out of the bodily conception of life. You know, have to do it only for wholehearted for Krishna. And third aspect is Shuddha Bhakti. So very nice example is given here that beans and gold are mixed. So initially when we are in conditioned stage, soul is eternally part and parcel of Krishna. His love for Krishna is there innate. But that is covered over because of by lauding or mentality. So therefore that forces him to do karma. But it does karma for Lord, it becomes karma yoga. Jnana for Lord, that becomes jnana yoga. And then when his karma is completely exhausted, like a fire wood is burnt, and the desire for jnana is exhausted, like firewood is burnt, karma and jnana is done, what remains is only Shuddha Bhakti. Basically, all the beans are removed apart. So what remains is only gold jewelry. So that is what Vishnu Chakra Thakur is telling here. This summary from verse 18.1 to 18.53 is like karma, nishkama karma yoga, and jnana yoga. But this 54th speaks about Kevala Bhakti. Now, when he has come to the platform of Jnana, he comes to the level of Kevala Bhakti. So that Bhakti Kevala Bhakti is mentioned in the middle 6 chapters. So what happiness after attaining that devotion? That is mentioned in the next verse. Bhaktya mam vajananti yavanyascha tvatah tato mam tatvato jnatva vishate tat anantaram. So his Jnana Yogi, when he's advancing, there are two types of Jnana Yogis. One is Brahma, impersonalist, impersonalist. So impersonalist, he just is at the Brahmavata stage. He gets stuck up till 53 verse. But the personalist, he continues from 54 to 55. Hmm? Yes. Who is next?
I will read, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji, please read.
Translation. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and his plenary portions cannot be understood by mental speculation nor by the non-devotees. If anyone wants to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has to take pure devotional service. Prabhuji, if you thank you. If anyone wants to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has to take to pure devotional service under the guidance of a pure devotee. Otherwise, the truth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead will always be hidden. As already stated in Bhagavadgita 7.25, Naham Prakashah Sarvasya. He is not revealed to everyone. No one can understand God simply by erudite scholarship or mental speculation. Only one who is actually engaged in Krishna consciousness and devotional service can understand what Krishna is. University degrees are not helpful. One who is fully conversant with the Krishna science becomes eligible to enter into the spiritual kingdom, the abode of Krishna. Coming to Brahman does not mean that one loses his identity. Devotional service is there, and as long as devotional service starts, there must be God, the devotee, and the process of devotional service. Such knowledge is never vanquished. Even after liberation, liberation involves getting free from the concept of material life. In spiritual life, the same distinction is there. Then the inward Sorry, Prabhuji, phone fell down. Sorry. Devotional service is there, and as long as devotional service exists, there must be God, the devotee, and the process of devotional service. Such knowledge is never vanquished. Even after liberation. Liberation involves getting free from the concept of material life. In spiritual life, the same distinction is there, the same individuality is there. But in pure Krishna consciousness, one should not mistakenly think that the word Vishate enters into me, supports the monist theory that one becomes homogeneous with the impersonal Brahman. No, Vishate means that one can enter into the abode of the Supreme Lord in one's individuality to engage in his association and render service unto him. For instance, a green bird enters a green tree not to become one with the tree, but to enjoy the fruits of the tree. Impersonalists generally give the example of a river flowing into the ocean and merging. This may be a source of happiness for the impersonalist, but the personalist keeps his personal individuality like an aquatic in the ocean. We find so many living entities within the ocean. If we go deep, surface acquaintance with the ocean is not sufficient. One must have complete knowledge of the aquatics living in the ocean depths. Because of his pure devotional service, a devotee can understand the transcendental qualities and the opulences of the Supreme Lord in truth. As it is stated in the 11th chapter, only by devotional service can one understand. The same is confirmed here. One can understand the Supreme Person of the Godhead by devotional service and enter into his kingdom. After attainment of the Brahmabhuta, Srimad Bhagavatam 4.30.20, stage of freedom from material conception devotional service begins by once hearing about the Lord. When one hears about the Supreme Lord, automatically the Brahmabhuta stage develops and material contamination, greediness, and lust for sense enjoyment disappears. As lust and desires disappear from the heart of a devotee, he becomes more attached to the service of the Lord. And by such attachment, he becomes free from material contamination. In that state of life, he can understand the Supreme Lord. This is the statement of Srimad Bhagavatam also. After liberation, the process of bhakti or transcendental service continues. The Vedanta Sutra 4.1.12 confirms this. Aprayanat tarapi tatrapi hi drishtam. This means that after liberation, the process of devotional service continues. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, real devotional liberation is defined as the reinstatement of the living entity in his own identity, his own constitutional position. The constitutional position is already explained. Every living entity is a part and parcel, fragmental portion of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, his constitutional position is to serve. After liberation, this service is never stopped. Actual liberation is getting free from misconceptions of life. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, somebody else can read.
Hare Krishna, everybody. One can understand me as I am, as a Supreme Personality of Godhead only by devotional service. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura comments, having obtained that bhakti, what then does one achieve? This is answered with the introduction of a new idea in the verse beginning Bhaktya. Only by bhakti does a jnani or one of the various kinds of devotees factually understand me. After all I have said, I am obtainable only by bhakti. This being the case, the jnani, because this being discussed, understands me after the function of vidya has stopped influencing him, and then he enters into me in the sense of coming to experience the happiness of Sayuja, being merged into the existence of the body of the Lord. Some persons want to attain Sayuja without bhakti by jnana alone. Imagining themselves to be jnanis, their only success is the trouble they take. They are very contemptible. Others understand that without bhakti, there can be no liberation. So they practice jnana mixed with bhakti. But they consider the personality of Godhead an illusory concept superimposed on Maya and think that the body of the personality of Godhead is composed of material modes. Therefore, even when they achieve the culmination of yoga, those jnanis who presume that they are liberated are all still contemptible. Thus it is stated, each of the four social orders headed by the Brahmanas was born through different combinations of the modes of nature from the face, arms, thighs, and feet of the Supreme Lord in his universal form. Thus, the 4 spiritual orders were also generated. If any of the members of the 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas fail to worship or intentionally disrespect the personality of Godhead, who is the source of their own creation, they will fall down from their position into a hellish state of life. Bhagavatam 11.5, 2-3. Factually, however, the nature of the Lord's human-like form is Satchidananda. Its becoming visible is simply by the influence of the Lord's inconceivable mercy, as is stated in the Narayanadhyatma. Although the Supreme Lord is always unmanifest, he becomes visible by his own energy. Without that energy, who could ever see that Supreme Master, the reservoir of all pleasure? Many thousands of Shruti statements establish that the Supreme Lord's body is Satchidananda. Displaying his Satchidananda Vigraha, he is sitting at the base of a desire tree in Vrindavana. He takes his personal form, which is the same as the transcendental sound of the Vedas. Nonetheless, the contemptible Gyanis interpret their other Shrutis, such as know Maya to be nature and the possessor of Maya to be the Supreme Lord, to mean that the Supreme Lord is also a false concept superimposed on Maya. In fact, however, the Maya, the Lord is conjoined with his personal internal energy, which is also called Maya. However, those who practice Jnana mixed with Bhakti, while thinking that the personal form of Supreme Lord is Satchidananda, gradually attain Bhakti after the influence of Avidya and Vidya cease to act on them. They are Jivan Muktas and are of 2 types. Some of them perform devotional service for the sake of attaining Sayujya. These achieve transcendental realization of the Supreme Entity and Sayujya within that Supreme. They are certainly praiseworthy. The others are very fortunate souls. By some trick of fate, they get the association of sober, pure devotees. By the influence of such devotees, they give up their desire for liberation. Like Sukadeva and others, they drown in the sweet taste of mellows of devotional service. They are supremely praiseworthy. Should I continue, Prabhu? In the last paragraph of his purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, after attainment to the Brahmabhuta stage of freedom from material conception, devotional service begins by one's hearing about the Lord. When one hears about the Supreme Lord, automatically the Brahmabhuta stage develops and material contamination, greediness and lust for sense enjoyment disappears. As lust and desires disappear from the heart of a devotee, he becomes more attached to the service of the Lord, and by such attachment, he becomes free from material contamination. In that state of life, he can understand the Supreme Lord. After liberation, the process of bhakti or transcendental service continues. Actual liberation is getting free from misconceptions of life. Krishna first spoke about elevation through karma and has just spoken about how a Jnana yogi may advance to the highest perfection. Beginning here and for the next 11 verses, Krishna will speak directly about bhakti. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So, what is being spoken by Chakravarti Pad is, if you see Prabhupada's mode and Chakravarti Pad's mode, Chakravarti Pad is glorifying the impersonalists, who are not Mayavadis. But Prabhupada only glorifies devotees. Why? Because he doesn't want devotees to go into impersonalist track. So that is the goal. So what is being written here? Basically, this verse section from 49 to 55 is speaking about the perfection of a Jnana Yogi. And the perfection of Jnana Yogi is he does bhakti to merge in Supreme. But there is another Jnana Yogi who Burjan was writing it by trick of association of a Vaishnava. He gives up Jnana platform and rises to Bhakti platform. So both are there. It's like there is primary, there is high school, there is inter, then there is degree, then there is PhD. So till degree one is same, but after that one takes a specialization in masters and then goes to PhD. So Bhakti like PhD. So what is being mentioned here is 51 to 49 to 56, 55 verses about a Jnana Yogi achieving perfection. So now Krishna will directly speak about Bhakti Yoga, or that yoga Jnani who gets such devotees, how he advances further to Keval Bhakti. That will be discussed from 56. So what I want from all of you.
Prabhuji, one question, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, Jnani in the strict sense means one who has knowledge or one who believes Krishna is material. According to this purport, he is saying.
What time you joined Mataji today?
Late, Prabhuji. Sorry, Prabhuji. I joined at 7.
I started discussing.
Okay, Prabhuji. I'll listen to the recording.
I'll come back to your question at the end. So we'll go at 56. What I want from all of you is you can go through 56 to 66 verses. Go through the translation, go through the purpose. This is most important. Many of you are telling, the whole section of Bhagavadgita is coming to end, but you're not understanding. But if you can understand 56 to 66, your reading of Bhagavadgita is perfect. So I want personally to all of you to read the translation, read the purport, take your time. It's 7:37, 7:37 now. Take time till 47, 57, 20 minutes time you can take. But make sure you read it. Don't just take 20 minutes and go and give chok or cook some prasad and come back. Bhoga. But I really want, because it's an important section. I want, because when you read it and when we'll discuss, when I'm trying to speak some read along with you, I'm also learning. So I personally want that all of you should read this section 56 to 66. It's Kevala Bhakti. Even if you understand this much, you understood Bhagavad-Gita. Okay. 56 to 66, read the translation, purport carefully, and we will again start discussion from 38, 48, 50, 12 minutes time. 12 minutes time. Hare Krishna. It's already 7:55. Okay. So what you understood, whatever you read till now, we'll just pause here now, and all of you can contribute what you understood from this section.
Can I start, Prabhuji?
Yes, Surabhi Mataji.
Myself, Prabhuji, Brahmarama.
Yes, Brahmaramba Mataji, please tell. Today you were very active from beginning.
No,
Tell,
Prabhuji.
but one minute you. I'll give only 1 minute to all of you. Just in 1 minute, what
Okay,
you want to tell
Prabhuji.
you can.
Okay, Prabhuji. Here, I understood that in the text 57, one should act according to the Lord Krishna's order. That is very, very important, Prabhuji. And then when we are following the orders of the Krishna, then obviously we will get the spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master, and we will get the very good association. Then one's perfection of life in Krishna consciousness is guaranteed if we follow all those things which was told by Krishna. And the next thing is one should not very carefully that one is not active in Krishna consciousness, is losing himself in the material whirlpool. That I like very much. We will be in the whirlpool and in the ocean of birth and death, if we did not understand properly that point also. And one more is the Lord is situated in everyone's heart. So finally, what I understood is we have to surrender to him. Then if we surrender, then he will take care of everything.
Very good. Yes.
Complete
This is the
surrender.
goal of Bhagavad-gita. Thank you. Time is over. Any other devotee?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, bro.
I will, I'll try and give you a summary what I understood, Prabhuji. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So, 56 and 57, 18.56 and 57, and most of this section, Krishna is talking about the devotional service. In till the previous verses, he spoke about karma, and from here he shifts the gear into the devotional service. So 56 and 57, Krishna explains how to do the devotional service. And 18.58 and 60, 260, the three shlokas, he's explaining what are the benefits of doing it and what happens if we don't do. What is the impact, basically, how somebody will fall down. And 61 to 62, he provides guidance how one can perform the spiritual devotional service. And 62, he leaves the final conclusion to Arjuna. I mean, he says, now I have told you what to be done. It is your wish. And after that, Krishna continues, especially, 58, 61 to 66. He continues talking about about the God, basically, how a devotional service to be performed and how the God is situated. And finally, 66 is the ultimate instruction of Bhagavad Gita, that Sarva Dharman Parityaya, and basically surrender.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Venu Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Actually, what I understood, like every person is all the time in some kind of modes or the combination of modes. If he voluntarily engage himself into the service of the Lord, then definitely the Krishna will take care. And how he can, like Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart. So we have always choice. If we listen our heart, then we can go into the good path. If we are engaged in other service, or we are in the mode of other things or influence of other material things, then definitely we will take the another path. So it is into our heart, like Krishna is there in our heart, Supreme Lord is in our heart. Now we have to make the choice where we have to go. If we choose the Supreme Lord to we have to choose, we have to think about the Krishna, and we have to follow the instruction of the Krishna or a spiritual master. Then definitely Krishna will see us, and he will elevate us. And if we are influenced by other things, then definitely we will be in the birth cycle of the birth and death. So basically, Krishna is saying, knowingly or unknowingly, just think about the Krishna, surrender to Krishna, just follow the instruction of the Krishna or the spiritual master, then definitely you will come to me. I will take care of you.
Yes.
That is my understanding, Prabhuji. I don't know.
So you don't have to worry about what you understood. Simply you chant Hare Krishna and practice Bhakti under the guidance of Prabhupada, the spiritual master. You are doing Bhakti Shastri course is perfect.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
That's Survi Mataji. After that, Srinivas.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam. Prabhuji, what my understanding is very much similar to Minu Mataji's, that we should be conscious of Krishna all the time and do all our activities keeping Krishna in mind. And if we do so, and if we are Krishna conscious all the time, Krishna will protect us from all the obstacles of our conditioned life. By his grace, we'll be able to pass all those obstacles. And if we are not, then we have to work according to our nature, whatever nature we are in. And that will bring, if we work under our material nature, then that will bring miseries and all those sufferings in life. And I mean, basically, I read till 60th verse only, I could read it. This is my understanding, Prabhuji, that we should actually we should not think that we are the master of our actions, and in fact, we don't, conditioned souls don't even know what has to be done and what doesn't have to be done. So if we follow if we are Krishna conscious, Krishna will prompt us what has to be done. So we have to live whatever activities we do, offer it to Krishna, do it in his consciousnness, and we will be able to pass all the obstacles of our conditioned life.
Okay. Yes. Okay, Srinivas Prabhu. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, okay. Majority of the devotees covered. 56, I what I understand, Prabhuji, if you do activities engage in Krishna or Lord Krishna, we are guaranteed an entrance in the Lord Edo, which is Vaikuntha. That is, then you have to do work on Krishna consciousness under 58, 57, 58. Then what happens if we don't work in Krishna consciousness and we don't do, what is the difficulties that is coming in 59, 60. Then the super soul is 60 or 61. They're saying super soul is, you have to listen to super soul and you have to work according to super soul. And 61 is surrender. 61 to 63 is more of surrendering to Krishna, and Krishna completely surrendered to Krishna.
Basically, Prabhupada says the whole reading of Bhagavad Gita, if we understood that we should practice bhakti, like that South Indian Brahman was not able to read, recite, chant, but he was touched by Krishna's Bhakti Vatsalata. Similarly, if we can, after reading Bhagavad Gita, if we can understand how much loving Lord is, that he gives all yogas, karma, jnana, dhyana, bhakti, ashtanga. At last he says, whatever I told, everything you forget it, but just follow bhakti. Like a son, like a child dependent on mother, I'll take care of you. That is the compassion of the Lord. So basically, if somebody is not a literate, now how many of the people can do Bhakti Shastri? Those who only can read and write. There are so many people all over the world who can't read. Then they'll hear. Then only by hearing, how they can get a certificate. So therefore, Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Yoga certificate, or all certificates are mandatory for system. But the ultimate thing, the end result is that we develop that loving affection for Krishna's devotional service. So that should be the goal of our reading of Bhagavad Gita. And the reading of Bhagavad Gita is perfect. So thank you all of you for sharing. I'll just try to speak something on Baldev Vidyabhushan's based on the previous 51 to 59. Like we are almost on the conclusion part of our Bhagavad Gita. So I don't want to miss some things very important of Acharyas, which I felt all of you should know. So how we get to know that from Shloka 49 to 55 is Jnana. Basically, you see carefully here. Siddhim prapto yada brahma. Tatapnoti nibodame. Sama shenaiva kaunteya. Nishta jnanasya yapara. So here, Krishna is telling here, please understand this process by which this happens from me. We'll relate it in brief. So what will happen? Understand from in brief how a person attains meditation on Atma, realizes Atma, hears also about the conclusion of the knowledge concerning the Supreme Lord. So here, Nishta Jnanasya Yaparaha. So I'll also speak to you about the conclusion of Jnana. Okay. How to understand what section is going on? See here. I'll also speak to you about the conclusion of knowledge concerning the Supreme Lord. Jnanasya Paranishta. Hear that also. Therefore, section from 50 to 55 is speaking about the Jnana. So after this, 51, 52, 53, this is very clear to all of you. We have discussed it. So basically, Baldev Vidyabhushan writes these verses, describes the process. This is a process, like the 20 items of knowledge in 13.8 to 12. That is a process. Utilizing Sattvika intelligence. Process is over. 54, something here, something very important to share. So one realizes the form of one's Atma with 8 qualities. Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. That person is peaceful like an ocean without waves. Now this verse. Brahma Bhuta Prasanna Atmana Shochati Na Kankshati Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhakti Labate Param. What this 54 speaks about? Here's something important to share. This verse speaks of the attainment after realizing Atma. There is body. In bodily concept, we have fruitive, karmi. We do some karma for our pleasure. That's karmi. We want to offer to Lord that which we like. That is sakama. Whether we like, whether we don't like, we do the karma and offer it to the Lord. That is nishkama. And when one comes to that kind of understanding, Marobi Rakobi Jo Icha Tumar, he's not in bodily consciousness of life. Basically comes to 51, 52, 53. So now from there, basically from karma to jnana, now we'll come to bhakti. So what is the connection? In karma yoga, his activities are important and is offering that activities for Krishna's pleasure, sakama. And the perfection of that karma is whether he likes his activities, he doesn't like the activities, he does it for the pleasure of the Lord, nishkama. Then he comes to the level where he doesn't do the activities at all. He's beyond the bodily concept of life. That is Jnana platform. So then he comes to his Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma stage. So this verse speaks of the attainment after realizing the Atma. That means he has come to the level of Atma platform. Having realized his Swarupa with 8 qualities, previous verse spoke about it. Extremely pure, Prasannatma, departure of desire which matures as karma and suffering, he thus does not lament or hanker after anything except me. He considers equal all high and low entities other than me, thinking them all inferior like earth or wood. In this state, he attains supreme bhakti in the form of realization of me, the perfected bhakti in which one attains a form similar to mine. I previously mentioned this bhakti with the words Nishtam Jnanasya Yapara, the conclusion of the knowledge concerning me. So Baldev Devishan is writing that Jnanasya Yapara, that is bhakti. The word prasanna is used in the sense of a very pure, as in the phrases prasanna shalila, very pure water. Okay, now you wait. Now we'll come in 55. Bhaktya mam avijanati yavane chasmitvatha tato mam tattvato jnatva vishate tadanantaram. So Brahma Bhuta Prasannatmana Shorjadina Kanchati Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhakti Labate Param was this shloka. What is that Bhakti Labate Param? That is Sadhana Bhakti. 54. What is this 55th Bhakti mentioned here? Bhaktyama Vijanati Tadanantaram. This is Bhava Bhakti. That is what Baldev Devotion writes here. The Bhakti which is mentioned in 54 is different from the Bhakti in 55. Like there is Sadhana Bhakti. Why I'm telling this? Because this section will come to in the next unit, Nectar of Devotion. Nectar of Devotion is going to speak about this only. 54, 55. If you just pull it out, that is whole Nectar of Devotion. Therefore, I'm just connecting this Bhagavad Gita to the next unit which we'll be studying. So what Baldev Devotion is writing here, only by devotion does a person know me as I am. Having known me in truth, he then enters me. Vishate tadanantaram, matlab, he is eternally delighting. So here he writes a very, very important point. When a person enters a city, it is perceived that he merges into the city. However, he does not become the city. This is the usage of the word Vishate. This one. Yeah. Now this is a very important point here. It should be understood that what is stated here is that Bhakti alone is a cause of both realizing the Lord in truth and joining Him. What is joining Him? Situating on the same platform in Him, where you can serve Him eternally. So it's understood from the previous statement, Bhaktya tu ananya shakya. So tat anta anantaram means after that. Therefore, the sentence means having truly realizing my form, qualities and vibhutis, only after that he joins me. That means tad anantaram can mean taking that bhakti alone. By the rule 3.2.8 Panini. Okay. Then understanding me in truth by pure bhakti, nam tattvato jnatva, taking that bhakti alone, he joins me. Okay. So till now, it's going to become clear. Now, what is that? It is seen in the scriptures after liberation, even then in liberation, bhakti continues to exist. So this bhakti is different from the bhakti of the impersonalist, where their goal is achieved, they merge and they live. But no, this continues. For those who have destroyed ignorance through bhakti, the taste for bhakti increases. Just as though for the taking sugar candy destroy jaundice, sugar candy becomes sweet. This is the conclusion of those who know the most secret knowledge. In this way, the method of practice, sadhana, and attainment of sadhya has been stated for sanishta bhaktas. So what is being told here is 54th is speaking about the sadhana bhakti labate param, and the 55th is speaking about the sadhya. Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, you do that. We are chanting Hare Krishna, we are reading Prabhupada books, we are getting up for the morning program, but Vishate Tadanantaram is not there. But we continue doing that under the guidance of a guru. We come to Bhav Bhakti and Prem Bhakti. That is Vishate Tadanantaram. So sadhana, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti is practice. And sadhya is bhava and prem. So that is 55. Is somebody else feeling something? So now 56 speaks about the process for the Parinishta Bhakta in 2.5 verses. So is this clear for all of you? What Baldev Devotion is trying to speak? I have complicated it.
Can you repeat it, Prabhu?
Repeat.
Bit
Okay.
difficult to
Yes.
Briefly, Prabhu.
Okay. 54. This is sadhana bhakti. Mad bhakti labate param. He attains his, in that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. This is sadhana bhakti. What is sadhana bhakti? Practice. What we are doing is sadhana bhakti. Okay, what we all are trying to do is sadhana bhakti. This is bhaktyam abhijananti yavan tasmi tattvataha tato mam tattvato jnatva vishati tadanantaram. The practice of bhakti becomes so purified that we have no material tinge. This is 55. Therefore, it is one can understand me as I am, and then he can enter into the kingdom of God. This is Prem Bhakti or Bhav Bhakti. Okay. So now what is the Kevala Bhakti is being mentioned, glorified here in here. सर्वकर्माण्यपि साधा कुर्वाणो मद्व्यपाश्रय मत्प्रसादादवाप्नोति शाश्वतं पदमव्ययम्. Yes, some devotees can read.
Shall I read, Prabhuji?
Hmm.
Though engaged in all kind of activities, my pure devotee, under my protection, reaches the internal and imperishable abode by my grace. Purport: the word Mad Vyaprasraya means under the protection of the Supreme Lord. To be free from material contamination, a pure devotee acts under the direction of the Supreme Lord or his representative, the spiritual master. There is no time limitation for a pure devotee. He is always 24 hours a day, 100% engaged in activities under the direction of the Supreme Lord. To a devotee who is thus engaged in Krishna consciousness, the Lord is very, very kind. In spite of all difficulties, he is eventually placed in the transcendental abode or Krishna Loka. He is guaranteed entrance there. There is no doubt about it. In the supreme abode, there is no change. Everything is eternal, imperishable, or full of knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Okay. This is 56. So what Baldev Devshan is writing is from 56 to 66. The present topic is a process for the realization of Atma and Paramatma, basically Bhakti. The part described is for the Sanishta Bhaktas, only Bhakta. No karma, no jnana. No karma yoga, no jnana yoga. Only Bhakti yoga. Who gradually progress from Nishkama Karma Yoga, that is Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, to Prema Bhakti. And this is a section of Nectar of Devotion. So here, engaged in all kinds of activities, my pure devotee under my protection reaches the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace. Because Lord takes him by his Krishna's mercy, our endeavor. That takes us. Yes. Someone can read this.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, shall I read?
Yeah.
The Lord tells Arjuna that actions performed purely in Krishna's service take place above the modes of nature on the transcendental platform. If one does not work for Krishna under Krishna's direction, he will be forced to work under the dictation of the modes of nature. Inactivity is not an option.
Yeah. Either you have to do bhakti,
Okay.
or you have to do Maya seva. Yeah, this is told. Yes, we can read this in this verse.
Okay. In this verse, Krishna has used the words Mat prasada avapnoti shashvatam prasadam avyayam to state that by his grace a devotee attains his eternal imperishable abode. In this regard, Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura gives the following dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. A Sakama or Nishkama devotee attains my eternal abode, Vaikunta, Madhura, Dwaraka or Ayodhya. But how do these various abodes persist at the time of total annihilation? My abode is infallible and does not undergo any loss even at the total annihilation of the universe. This is due to my inconceivable power. But a Gnani comes to the stage of Naishkarmya and achieves Sayujya only after many lifetimes of various austerities and only after all the material action of his senses has ceased. How is it then that the devotee attains your eternal abode simply by taking shelter of you, even though they are still engaged in karma and still have material desires? By my grace, this happens. You should understand that my mercy has inconceivable power. What is the practical application of Krishna's instructions for Arjuna?
So this is very important, this statement of Chakravarti Path, that Gyani does so much hard work. Section from 49 to 56 You want to understand, so difficult. But even if we have material desire, but we are very sincere, we want to practice bhakti. Krishna is telling that the devotee attains your eternal abode simply by taking shelter of you, even though they are still engaged in karma and still have material desires. So Krishna is saying, by my grace this happens. You should understand that my mercy has inconceivable power. That is the shloka number 56. Sarvakarmani sada kurmano madi vyapashraya mat prasada davapnoti shashvatam padyam avyam. By my mercy, I deliver them. Many of you might have seen this photo. A person is drowning in ocean, and then Lord is coming on Garuda and giving him his hand. The same thing, this 56 verse, you can remember that. That how Lord is picking up his devotee, despite his desire. But Lord is saying, although he has a desire, but he wants to come to me, but because of some conditioning, he is not able to give. But I have my inconceivable power by which I'll bring him here. Why? Because he is my devotee. But on the other hand, the jnani is dependent on himself. Therefore, let him try. Like small children who are there, parents take care of them more than the grown-up. So therefore, grown-up people want to take care of themselves. So jnani, similarly, wants to take care of himself. But a small bhaktas are completely, utterly dependent on Lord Krishna. So therefore, this is the power of bhakti. Many times people say this is emotional, this is sentimental. This is not emotional, sentimental. It is a smart work which devotees do. Chetasa sarva karmani mayi sannyasasya matpara buddhi yogam upashritya macchitta satatam bhava. Yes.
Shall I continue, Prabhu? That's okay. Translation. In all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me.
Yes. So basically, even if some lingering are there, Krishna is saying, don't worry, continue bhakti. I'll take care. Yeah.
Purport. When one acts in Krishna consciousness, he does not act as the master of the world. Just like a servant, one should act fully under the direction of the Supreme Lord. A servant has no individual independence. He acts only on the order of the master. A servant acting on behalf of the Supreme Master is unaffected by profit and loss. He simply discharges his duty faithfully in terms of the order of the Lord. Now, one may urge that Arjuna was acting under the personal direction of Krishna, but when Krishna is not present, how should one act? If one acts according to the direction of Krishna in this book, as well as under the guidance of the representative of Krishna, then the result will be the same. The Sanskrit word matparaha is very important in this verse. It indicates that one has no goal in life save and except acting in Krishna consciousness just to satisfy Krishna. And while working in that way, one should think of Krishna only. I have been appointed to discharge this particular duty by Krishna. While acting in such a way, one naturally has to think of Krishna. This is perfect Krishna consciousness. One should, however, note that after doing something whimsically, he should not offer the result to the Supreme Lord. That sort of duty is not in the devotional service of Krishna consciousness. One should act according to the orders of Krishna. This is a very important point. That order of Krishna comes through disciplic succession from the bona fide spiritual master. Therefore, the spiritual master's order should be taken as the prime duty of life. If one gets a bona fide spiritual master and acts according to his direction, then one's perfection of life in Krishna consciousness is guaranteed. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Let's see what Bhujanpur is repeating the same thing. Srila Prabhupada purport, powerful, often quoted, and practical. Okay. So basically, what is the highlight point is one should not act whimsically after becoming Krishna consciousness. He should act under the guidance of spiritual master. But if spiritual master is not there, then on behalf of spiritual master, there is some representative. We should consult him and act on his behalf. This is very, very, very important. And anyway, Prabhupada has given his books. Spiritual master has so many lectures. And there is also some personality in our yatras who's guiding us. So you should take it very, very seriously and try to practice bhakti. So if you're not able to give mental desire, at least you should act under some person who can guide us. Yes. Somebody can read this 2 paragraphs.
Shall I read, Prabhuji?
Hmm.
Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur described Krishna's instruction to Arjuna, offering all your activities, your varnashrama duties, and your ordinary work to me. You should be dedicated to me. I should be your only goal and the whole purpose of your life. In this way, you should be renounced and without desires. Always fix your mind on me, both while executing your duties and at other times as well. Always remember me. Srila Baladev Vidya Bhushan adds, having me as the only goal in your life, you should renounce and offer all your prescribed work to me, your master. Taking shelter of me in Buddhi Yoga, you should always think of me while executing your duties. What will be the result of the following Krishna instruction and not to follow?
Yeah, Buddhi Yoga means Bhakti Yoga. So what we are trying to do is Buddhi Yoga. Yes. So what will happen if you follow Krishna instruction, offering the Varnashram activities, offering any of the ordinary activities, basically we're doing any activities before sleeping, after getting up, all throughout the day, our whole consciousness saturated. Then if we continue the way we are doing what Prabhupada has given to us, what will happen to us in future? If we stick to it, 58th verse. Machchitta sarva durgani mat prasadat tarishyasi atacheta tvam ahankaram na shroshyasi vinankshashi. How a person who has mental desire can prosper? Krishna is saying, no, continue doing it. Continue doing for my own. Continue offering your results of your work and all the activities of work for my pleasure. Then what I'll do? This is what Krishna is telling. Yes, somebody can read this.
I will read.
Hare Krishna. Translation. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. Purport. A person in full Krishna consciousness is not unduly anxious about executing the duties of his existence. The foolish cannot understand this great freedom from all anxiety. For one who acts in Krishna consciousness, Lord Krishna becomes the most intimate friend. He always looks after his friend's comfort and he gives himself to his friend who is so devotedly engaged working 24 hours a day to please the Lord. Therefore, no one should be carried away by the false ego of the bodily concept of life. One should not falsely think himself independent of the laws of material nature or free to act. He is already under strict material laws. But as soon as he acts in Krishna consciousness, he is liberated, free from the material perplexities. One should note very carefully that one who is not active in Krishna consciousness is losing himself in the material whirlpool in the ocean of birth and death. No conditioned soul actually knows what is to be done and what is not to be done. But a person who acts in Krishna consciousness is free to act because everything is prompted by Krishna from within and confirmed by the spiritual master.
Yeah.
Hare
So
Krishna.
if we are sincere in practicing bhakti, from inside Krishna as Antaryami Ishopanishad, the Yastu Sarvani Bhutani there, as Antaryami, Krishna guides us, and as a spiritual master from outside, he guides us. So therefore, we should not just rely for internal realization. Yeah, sometimes we are trying to, when we are unable to consult some superiors, we are trying our best, but there are no superiors, then Krishna guides from them. Tesham sadviktanam vajtam kriti purvakam dadami buddhigam tam yenam apiyantate. Krishna will guide him from within. But we have somebody, we should become humble and consult them. That is easy. That is meaning of not acting through falsehood. So what does Krishna mean when he states that one acting through false ego, not hearing him, will be lost? Because of false ego only we somehow can't approach spiritual master, can't approach superiors. But no, if you want to make it in this one lifetime, despite having material desires, despite having so many faulty mentality and other things, at least Krishna is saying, don't act through false ego. Become humble. Approach a spiritual master. Approach superiors. Under the guidance, practice. So what does Krishna mean when he states that one acting through false ego? So that is being explained in 59th. We'll just discuss 59th and then we'll end for today. Yad ahankaram ashritya nayotsya iti manyase mittaisya vyavasayaste prakritistvam niyokshati. Yeah.
I will read, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
I think Madhvi Reddy Mataji has not yet read. Let us give her a chance to read.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Danda Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
If you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare. Purport. Arjuna was a military man and born of the nature of the Kshatriya. Therefore, his natural duty was to fight. But due to false ego, he was fearing that by killing his teacher, grandfather, and friends, he would incur sinful reactions. Actually, he was considering himself master of his actions, as if he were directing the good and bad results of such work. He forgot that the Supreme Personality of Godhead was present there, instructing him to fight. That is the forgetfulness of the conditioned soul. The Supreme Personality gives directions as to what is good and what is bad, and one simply has to act in Krishna consciousness to attain the perfection of life. No one can ascertain his destiny as the Supreme Lord can. Therefore, the best course is to take direction from the Supreme Lord and act. No one should neglect the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or the order of the Spiritual Master, who is the representative of God. One should act unhesitatingly to execute the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that will keep one safe under all circumstances.
Yes. Matra sparsha sukamteya sitoshna sukatukada agama paino sritya tam sritya shvashva bharata. Basically, because of sense perception, we choose what I like physically and at the level of mind. Likes, dislikes, sankalpa, vikalpa is because of mind. And the level of sense perception, happiness, misery is mind. Hot and cold is from physical. But we should try to unhesitatingly execute the order of spiritual master, rising above the body, gross body, rising above the subtle body. Comforts, gross body. False ego, subtle body. We should try to transcend both and try to act accord as per as the spiritual master and Supreme Lord. Yes. Brahmaramba Mataji, please read this. Srila Vishnu Chakra Thakur adds more of Arjuna's and Krishna's thoughts.
Yes, Prabhu. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura adds more of Arjuna's and Krishna's thoughts. Well, it's true. For a Kshatriya like me, fighting is the supreme duty. But in this particular circumstance, I don't want to become involved because I fear the sinful reactions for killing family members. In response,
that's one of the reasons which Arjuna quoted in the first chapter. Now we are in the last chapter. Yeah.
Yes. In response, Krishna, in a chastening mood, speaks this was beginning of Yad Ahankaram. Now you are not honoring my words, but later, because you are a great hero, your natural eagerness to fight will unavoidably manifest itself. Then when you set out to kill Bhishma and the others on your own accord, I will laugh at you. We should note Krishna's words. Whether or not Arjuna surrenders to Krishna, he will fight. Why then, chapter after chapter, has Krishna pushed Arjuna to fight? What was the necessity of Krishna's offering numerous instructions? Krishna wanted Arjuna to fight in the proper consciousness, in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, he told Arjuna to surrender unto him and fight on his order with devotion. Do it, Krishna explained. Because I have already killed Bhishma, Karna, Drona, all these warriors. The armies have already been defeated and the battle has already been won. Krishna doesn't require Arjuna's material skill for victory, but he wants Arjuna to act with devotion as his instrument. Arjuna's devotion will be expressed by fighting on the battlefield. Srila Prabhupada once explained, during a 1974 morning walk in Los Angeles, somebody protested that your Krishna consciousness movement makes people dull, but they have not seen the Vaishnava. There were two fights in Indian history. One was between Rama and Ravana, and one was at Kurukshetra. And the hero in both was a Vaishnava. We are going to produce such Vaishnavas, not these dull rascals sitting down. We don't want these Vaishnavas, sitting down rascals. We want Arjuna or we want no one. That is a Vaishnava. Krishna explains the point further on the next text. Hare
Yes.
Krishna.
So what Prabhupada is trying to explain here, this purpose is, our Gurujan is trying to bring out is, Krishna doesn't want Arjuna to kill Bhishma on his own accord. But Krishna wants Arjuna to surrender to his will and act. That is the essence of Bhagavadgita. If you can understand this, that Krishna consciousness, we are reading Bhakti Shastri, we are doing Bhagavadgita, we are doing Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, only for one thing: how we can become good devotees, sincere devotees. So conclusion from this verse 59 is, anyways nature will come out. Right now he is out of false ego for compassion, false compassion, is telling, okay, I'll not fight. But at some point of time he has to fight because he is Kshatriya. But doing it because he is Kshatriya to fight, it's my nature, that's not enough. One has to do it for the pleasure of superiors. So basically Krishna is telling he has already killed every one of them. Then what is the point of speaking the whole Bhagavad Gita? It's not the accomplishment or activity, it's the consciousness. The purpose of doing Bhakti Shastri course, any course in Krishna consciousness movement is, when we do any activity, the activity is there, but activity is the means. But the end is the pleasure of Hari, Guru and Vaishnavas. So that means not acting through the false ego. That is what this section is telling. So remaining 18 verses, we will try to discuss that in Monday. 60. Yeah, that will go very fast. 6 more verses are there, which are a little technical. But after that, from 67 onwards, it's a Falashruti. Okay. Any questions?
Krishna Prabhu, the previous slokas with about natural qualities of a person, right? When somebody feels that I have this natural quality, I inherit it, I am good at it, I am doing that, maybe service of Lord, is that become false ego?
I should go and consult the superior. I feel I'm good at it. So do you also feel the same thing?
Yeah.
If yes, then you will get it. If no, then it's false ego. So let's not be in between by speculating. Let's go and express it to superiors and let them decide and engage us. Very simple. Okay. Anything else? Any comment? Any comments or any inputs? Hare Krishna. I think it's already 8:38. So next class will be your last class. Let's join on time. We'll mostly start at 6:45 sharp, so that we can end in next Monday. Because after that, from next Wednesday onwards, my another Bhakti Yoga course will start again for another batch. So it is also coinciding with 6:30 to 8:30 time. So I wanted to complete the 68 verse and then Monday would have completed, but then I felt this was a little important going slow. Hare Krishna. 18 more verses. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.